maybe people didn't get a chance to pop in their homework from this group. So I want to be able to give somebody the Target gift card. So make sure you go put your answer in the homework thread in the Facebook group. So it's for some reason my like quick links are not working. So if Becca or Mackenzie wants to pop the Facebook group link into the chat, that'd be awesome. So we have a special guest here today too. After I do part of the training for today, Tawana Taylor is the other coach in the Revolutionary Leadership Lab. She's waving to you. And she is absolutely amazing. So I really wanted her to come live today so that she can talk about her expertise and how it could really benefit you, especially if you want to join the Revolutionary Leadership Lab. I want to remind everybody, and I just talked to a couple of people from this group today about how if you have a connect call with me or one of the management breakthrough calls, we are offering $400 off the program if you book by the end of the day. So I really want to like gift that to you guys for like joining and for like making that commitment to yourself for being somebody who is a revolutionary leader or striving to that with their management skills, right? So I'm just going to make other people the co-host tonight or today too. Let's see. They are co-hosts. We're all set up. Great. Okay. Yeah. Mackenzie put the Facebook group in the chat. So all you have to do is put ways that you want your team to improve in psychological safety in that thread. And then somebody from this group will get a $25 gift card to Target. Woohoo. Guys, I love Target. I know a lot of people are Amazon people, but I think that Target maybe treats their employees better. And as somebody who cares about workplace culture, it matters to me. I think I mentioned yesterday, my mom actually works at Target and I like the way they treat her. So that's why I support that company. Yay, Target. Yay, Target indeed. I know they're not perfect. They've had certain things go on, but man, that's capitalism, I guess. All right, everybody. So yeah, you can put your stuff in there. Tell us where you're calling in from. I know Annette's in Alabama. I know Tawana is in Georgia, Peachtree, Georgia, Peachtree City. Yeah, there we go. Yes, Mackenzie's in Washington. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. It's not as hot as it has been the past couple of days. And then Becca is in Pennsylvania. Woohoo. Okay. So let us know. Sophia is in Washington, D.C. Very cool. Sophia, have you watched the West Wing? I know it's an old show, but I'm a little obsessed with it. I kind of go through it like once a year. It's so good. And actually I get a lot of ideas for like team culture and leadership from it because man, what a functional team of people who worked at the White House in that show. It's so interesting. So good. You've never seen it, but I did watch House of Cards. Oh, I got so creeped out by House of Cards. It was really good, but man, what a dark show. And I like Breaking Bad, you know? Oh yay, and Kelsey Walker is here too. She's going to share about her experience in the program as well when we're kind of toward the end. So awesome, guys. This is so great. So let us know if you're watching Facebook also. A lot of people are in the Facebook group and watching there. So yeah, there's Kelsey. So Dina, where are you watching from? Angie, where are you watching from? Ashley, and then R. Dela Cruz. I'm not exactly sure what the name is. Yesterday, Texas, Dina, nice. Okay. What part of Texas? Oh, and Angie's in St. Paul. Very cool. And yes, Kelsey's in Kansas City also. My Kansas City girl. Kelsey just had an amazing event over the weekend, actually, where she had a bunch of different speakers talk about like reproductive rights and health issues and trauma and abuse and things like that. It was absolutely amazing. And Dina, oh, Houston. So same as Beyonce. That's got to be exciting. I would definitely own that. That's really great. H-Town Queen, right? Okay. So yeah, let's look at your workbook for today. So everybody pull that up. Open it up. I know yesterday or today, somebody told me that they had the old version of the workbook. So everybody has the correct version. I will put that in the chat actually, just in case anybody somehow got the old version. There we go. So all you do is download it. Make sure you download the workbook because it's a fillable PDF. And that way you can have it on your desktop saved and you can keep saving it each day as you put in your notes and your answers. Rosafel Dela Cruz from Richmond, California. I love California. I was just out there in the end of May and it was absolutely awesome. So Long Beach, LA, and then Palm Springs. So great. So fun. Am I saying it right? Rosafel? I love that unique name. All right, so let's look at your workbook. Today, we're getting into it. We're talking about a lot of the stuff that you have to like actually implement to see the changes happen. So how do you set yourself up for success from the beginning as a manager to stop feeling overwhelmed or miserable? Like I've told you guys, like we're having these connect calls and management breakthrough sessions. And what I'm really seeing is that there are some people who are really frustrated. Like I've literally had people start crying on these calls because they're frustrated with their teams. I'm not going to say any names, but like they're frustrated that they don't connect with their teams, or that people are resigning, or that they really, really want a promotion and they've been stuck in a position for so long, or their culture is toxic, or they have a bad manager above them who is not supporting them in the ways they need. There are so many ways to not feel overwhelmed. There are so many ways to overcome that misery and instead feel empowered and excited to go to work together. It doesn't have to be something where, you know, you'd rather be at work than at the beach. I'm not saying that. Of course, most of us would rather be on vacation most of the time, but I want work and leading people to feel like a rewarding, impactful experience in your life. That's what this is supposed to be about. So let's talk about some ways that we can set yourself up for success ahead of time. All right, so make sure you're following along. This is on page 7, and there is going to be a little bit of a practice prompt after today also. And so the giveaway from today, if you put your answer in the homework thread after today, remember you get to have access, or you'll be in a drawing for a Starbucks gift card, or if you prefer a local coffee shop, I would prefer to support a local coffee shop in your community. So all you have to do is send me the name of it and I will send you the gift card for it if they have a digital thing. If not, we'll figure it out. But if not, Starbucks is great. So just let me know. All right, so look up that. So let's go to like what we're talking about, the how to not feel overwhelmed. How do you overcome that? So when you want to be starting out your like management process, or if you're like, okay, I need a refresher. I've been a manager for a while. I need to reset, refresh. How do I renegotiate stuff with my team and with myself? You have to start by setting clear expectations and then communicating those very clearly to your team. So when I say setting clear expectations and communicating that, I really mean being clear and understanding, first of all, with yourself of what your expectations are. So setting clear expectations may sound like, well, obviously, Haley, I do that, or I need to do that. That's so obvious we need to do that. But do you actually do it? Because what I find is that a lot of times we think, well, I mean, yeah, of course I have expectations, but they're never communicated clearly. And then between two people or between you and your whole team, you have a lot of conflict or resentment, or people, you know, holding things back from each other. People are gossiping about each other. So if you set clear expectations from the beginning and you just deal with that feeling of being uncomfortable ahead of time, it sets everybody up for success. So I'll give you an example. This is definitely applicable to the work world, but also especially in any like relationship you have with people. So I went on a trip with one of my best friends to Australia a few years ago. It was so fun. We went to visit another friend, and I knew that we may have some issues of conflict because I'm a very carefree, flexible, spontaneous person, and she is a very like anxious person. She wants to know what is next. What do we expect to do every day? What do I need to, like, how do I get my mind set for the day and for how much I'm spending and stuff like that? And I'm like, we'll figure it out. So we decided to talk about it ahead of time. We had 3 conversations ahead of time to discuss what our expectations for this trip were. We're going to 3 different cities. We both don't want to spend a lot of money. We want it to be more of a like adventure trip rather than like a fancy vacation. And so what we found was that we could just compromise in a lot of things. Like she was okay being flexible. She was okay being spontaneous if we at least had a general plan for the day and for each city. And we both agreed that we didn't want to spend a lot of money. We're not going to stay at resorts. We're not going to spend, $200+ a night. To me, that's like great. Why? Oh, I can't fathom. So I was like, let's stay in hostels. So we stayed in hostels and saved a ton of money because we weren't even in our hostel very often. We still had a private room. Although I would have been comfortable with public. I was like, let's just meet new people. But she was like, no, but it's okay. So we talked about all of that like 3 times before the trip, and we had perfect trip. It was so great. Even though we have different perspectives and our expectations were different, we were able to compromise on what those expectations were supposed to look like. Isn't that cool? I think it's really, really exciting that we are able to do that. And like some of our friends were like, how did it go? We weren't sure about you guys because you operate so differently. And we were like, it was awesome. Like if you talk about things ahead of time, you then can refer back to those conversations when you're in a moment of stress or conflict, and think about how you can do that at work too with your team. So if you've already discussed expectations, like I know with my team, so Tawana, Mackenzie, Becca, like we know pretty clear expectations, like especially Mackenzie and I talk about those like a lot, or we talked about those a lot at the beginning as well. And then with Kelsey, she's in the Revolutionary Leadership Lab, and we literally talked about how she can set expectations with the people she's about to hire for her company. Kelsey is an extreme achiever, and she can't just do one thing. So she just Kelsey's always like, I've got a nonprofit, I've got a company, I have side hustles. Oh yeah, and I have a family with children and dogs and husband and etc. I mean, the woman just never turns off. She's an Energizer bunny. But so she's hiring people for her. Well, she has a virtual assistant for her company, and she has a nonprofit, which is awesome. Look up From the Green Desk, awesome organization. She's hiring therapists. She's hiring other like, I don't know, aid type of workers, to like advocacy kind of people. She is doing everything. So she wants to make sure that she's going to be able to delegate the things she needs to in an appropriate way. She wants to be able to make sure everybody's set up for success ahead of time. How do you do that? How do you get people to know that like, hey, my leader is clear on what they need, and so I'm clear on what they need from me. I also can manage up to them. So she isn't just going to spew her expectations at her team, right? She's going to also say, hey, what do you expect from me? And where do we maybe need to get in the, like in a sense of either like, you know, some of us sometimes have to like let go of certain things that we expect, or how do we compromise so it is a win-win for both of us and for everybody on the team. So with Mackenzie and Becca, so we work together a lot. We are constantly making sure that things are dealt with directly. So they do not need to go through me to communicate with each other. That's absurd. I want Mackenzie and Becca to be able to chat directly if it doesn't involve me. That's wonderful. I want them to be able to do that. I want them to be able to say like, hey, I'm going to show you grace. Maybe something has missed a due date, or maybe something like somebody has a family concern or this week, and like there's somebody who has a health issue. Maybe somebody is really, really stressed and feeling like a little depressed one week. Hey, how do we show that we care about you? We'll pick up your slack. I know you work really hard. I'd rather you like take care of yourself and have a sustainable relationship on this team, rather than me saying, no, I demand more from you when you can't give it, right? So we talk about expectations a lot in that way. So tell me guys, like Angie, Annette, Sophia, Ashley, tell me what's going on with your teams. Like, is that resonating? Have you set expectations as a manager? I think before you communicate them with people, so pop it in the chat, I want to hear. Before you communicate that with everybody, sometimes you have to get clear on what they are yourself. So that's where I suggest you journal that information, that you actually like write it out or type it out. Like what are my expectations? I need to get clear on that myself first. And so sometimes when I say get clear, or like we're going clear, I kind of start thinking about Scientology. So anybody else watched any documentaries on that? It's like what they say. So I'm not referring to the Scientology going clear. I'm referring to just like in your brain, get clear on what your expectations are. But I find that stuff so fascinating. So you want to get clear on it. Like, what do we expect? And then we put all of that stuff in Asana, our project management system. So if you don't have something like that, instead you maybe want to just like email it to people, or you want to put it in your Slack channel, or if you use Microsoft Teams, I'm sure there's a hub somewhere you can put that stuff. And I see Annette says, I feel like I've set them. However, I did not ask them what their expectations are of me. Oh, I hope that's like a little revelation for you to like be like, oh yeah, I need to know what they expect from me. And sometimes we have to say our expectations and then ask like, is that something you can consent to? Is that something you can, that you agree with? Like, are you on board with that? So I want to make, like, before I even hired Mackenzie and Becca, like I shared with them, I want like graciousness, understanding, all of that kind of stuff, like patience with me, because like I'm hiring people with a very different personality from me on my team, because why would I want to hire other disorganized big picture people? Right? I want some people who are their Enneagram ones. And so I know that they're going to be like a lot more like clear, focused. They're going to be organized. They know that there's a right way to do something. They like to hit due dates, things like that. So I want people like that but they're going to have to understand I'm different and I need grace from them in that way. Right? Grace is my middle name. It really is though. Isn't that funny? So yeah, we have to make sure that like they commit to that. So they both said, yes, I can definitely get on board with that. I've had people on my team before and worked with people in other organizations who were not that way. They were not patient. They didn't want to deal with conflict directly. They wanted to sweep it under the rug. But what happens when people sweep issues under the rug? Well, obviously the rug gets lumpy. Is it hard to clean a lumpy rug? Well, heck yeah. How do you vacuum a lumpy rug? You're not even getting the dirt that's underneath it, right? You're not getting the real issue. So we have to not sweep things out from under the rug. I love a good metaphor. And instead bring it out into the light of day and truly discuss it. And that takes a lot of courage. Now, courage is one of my main values. So it's something I like to live into, but I know that's something that can be really, really hard for some people, right? Okay, so let's see. So, okay, then Angie says we set expectations, but receive excuses or reasons why the work does not get completed. So that's a great point. So that's something that we work on in the program as well, is that we have to make sure that they agree to it, and that if like they're not in the right position or they have a good reason for not wanting to commit to a certain expectation, or like we have to figure out like, are they the right person for this job? Now, maybe their excuse or the reason why it doesn't get done is because they're at like, there's an obstacle in their way. Remember, we talked about that. Was that yesterday or on Monday? All about the obstacles in your way. How do you find out what obstacles are in their way? Remember the ask model. You have to ask them. Okay, so you might say like, hey, I've communicated my expectations for these goals. It looks like the work is not getting done or not getting completed. Can you help me understand why? And then what do? Physically put your lips together, like shut. I'm not trying to tell you shut your mouth, but I have to tell myself that because I will just keep talking if I don't physically make myself stop and make myself calm down. So I do that. And when we do that, that person is able to say, okay, well, I know that Angie is listening to me. So we want to show like, body language that's calm, body language that is like receptive and it's not judgmental. So I know that sometimes it's just hard to get your team to do what you want them to do. That's why we work on this and in this challenge and then in the program. And so, yeah, figuring out what the deal is, acknowledging what they said, being sensitive to the words that they're using, and then being knowledgeable about how to solve the problem, right? And then Annette agrees. So yeah, dealing with the same stuff. That's why we deal with this stuff. Yeah, and maybe like it's something like they're at over capacity, or they're like, I know that's your expectation. That's not something I want to commit to though. So then it's a conversation to have. That's something that we will role play in the Revolutionary Leadership Lab. Sophia says, I currently do not have direct reports. That's all right, but I'm a people ops manager. The managers at our organization tend to get caught in the cycle of putting out fires and don't take the time to set general expectations for long-term goals. That happens all the time. So if you are familiar with the tool, it's like the Covey quadrants of like time management. So you have like urgent matters, not urgent, important, and not important. And so you really want to be in the quadrant most of the time at work, quadrant 2, where things are not urgent, but they're important. And so it sounds like people are in more of like Q1, quadrant 1, where they are working on the urgent things that could be important or maybe not important, but they're always putting out fires. I also had a superior at a place I worked at before. He said that his prior manager, so this is probably like decades and decades ago, said that as a manager, as a good manager who shows good leadership skills, your job is not to, your job is to dissipate the fire, to put the fire out, not to fan the flames of a fire. So when we see a fire, we don't want to make it any worse. How do we approach that fire metaphorically, calmly, and where we take care of it? You don't see firefighters running up to a burning building, freaking out like they've never been here before and they don't know what to do. They're not frantic. Usually they are really calculated. They have been well trained. They know how to approach that fire, and their main job is put out the fire. Don't freak out about the fire. Don't tell other people, oh my God, there's a fire. It's our job to put out the fire, right? As the manager, as a really good manager. And they don't take time to set general expectations for long-term. Part of that like quadrant 2 goals is to like, we want to do things that are not urgent so that they're more long-term focused. It's strategy. It's maximizing the strengths of people on our team. It is understanding what my strengths are and what I need to get even better at. What's my role? Am I a manager? Am I getting great manager training? Have I had leadership development experience? Well, I better get it if I haven't had it already. I see Tawana says, celebrate yourself, Sophia. You have more complexities to navigate and must be all must be all the more strategic than a traditional manager who has direct reports. Yeah, that's so true. Because when you don't have people directly reporting to you, sometimes you have less like leverage you can use. So you have to get more creative. Even in the cycle of putting out fires, there's a company culture and an expectation. It needs to be captured, documented, and maybe formalized for people on the team. Yes. And that's why we use SOPs, standard operating procedures. So we will have a standard operating procedure template as part of the fast action bonus bundle. So when you sign up for the Revolutionary Leadership Lab, you'll get all of those templates. And so an SOP template is included in that. So that's awesome. I mean, I think it's awesome that you're asking these questions, that you're bringing this up. Okay, so a good way to ensure that you're supporting your people during a project is to continuously talk with them. Make sure that you are checking in and having consistent one-on-ones or team meetings, kind of whatever it looks like. So a lot of times what we see is that managers will assign a task, and that's at point A. So assignment or beginning kickoff meeting or whatever is at point A. And then somebody works on the project, and then at point Z, it's completed, and now you're having a debrief conversation, but nothing happened from B to Y to support that person. So this is where Tawana comes in as like the expert with project management and stuff like that. So we have expectations. We want to be clear on those, but how do we like continuously support them in making sure everything is set up for success? And we're doing checkpoints throughout from B to Y, not just A to Z. So making sure the whole thing, they are supported. They know that we are there for them to help with best practices and troubleshooting any issues that might come up. We're there to share but the best practices that they need to implement, to remove obstacles out of their way. But we only know what obstacles are there if we are communicating with those people on our team. So that's where she really comes in as the expert. So a good way to learn other people's expectations is to ask for them. Like ask for what their personality is, what their goals are, figure out how you can strategically align what they need with what you need. Now, a lot of times I think managers are like, well, I told them my expectations. They know what they need to do. And then they're not actually completing it. Well, a lot of the reason is because we haven't taken time to care and connect with those people on our team. So when we care and connect with them, that helps us have a more productive and wholehearted relationship with them. So that's what Brene Brown says in Dare to Lead. So she has literally a quote in there I use all the time and this is based on decades of research. I mean, I'm sure that Kelsey's heard me say this a million times, but it's based on decades of research from an expert. And she says that care and connection are irreducible requirements for wholehearted, productive relationships between leaders and team members. If you want to have a productive relationship that's wholehearted, that you actually enjoy it, you got to have a connection with them. You have to care about them. And that's what Kim Scott also talks about in Radical Candor. If anybody's read that book, it's fantastic. So tell me if you've read any of these books in the chat. So in that, she talks about how there's another quadrant thing, and you want people to, or you want to be managing in the level of radical candor, where you challenge people directly and you let them know what their expectations are. You give them feedback on their performance and stuff like that. But you also care personally about them. So I hope that that's like the kind of manager that I am. That's what I strive to be like every day for the people on my team. I want to be somebody who cares about them personally and will challenge them directly. I don't feel like I've ever had an issue where I've been like, I am severely disappointed. Like that has not happened. I have fantastic people on my team, but sometimes there are things that you have to deal with that it's hard, but that's why you're getting paid probably more than somebody who's not a manager. And that's why you were probably promoted or hired into that role. You're not just usually thrown into that because you weren't a high performer, right? So, but that's where it gets challenging. We're good at the job we were hired to do. And now we're doing that on top of actually managing other people who are doing a similar job. So let me know, is this resonating? Like Kenneth, how is this resonating with you? Elizabeth, Dina, like I want to know, like, is this resonating? Like, how has that worked out on your team, communicating these different things and checking in when you're working on projects? All right. Okay. Part of project management that we forget is to document and track certain aspects of our work. Sometimes that is, it's just like we talk about it, everything's like up in the air and we're discussing it and it's never truly tracked. It's not documented somewhere. So if you're not using a project management system, maybe you want to start using something like that. Tawana is obviously the expert in all of those areas. We really like Asana. I know Mackenzie also uses ClickUp for other clients and things like that. But there are lots of different tools you can use, and even free ones. Like, we don't pay for Asana. We're using a free version. Maybe someday we'll use an upgraded version of it, but right now it is meeting our needs and it's really, really helping. Elizabeth says, feeling like my manager cares makes communication so much easier. Yes. If you feel like they don't care about you and they're almost like competing with you. Have you guys ever felt like that with a manager? Yeah. Like they're maybe intimidated by you or threatened or something like that. I mean, I've definitely felt like that, and that's not helpful. It's not helpful to like wanting to perform with more excellence. So I'm never very inspired and want to go work really hard if I'm not feeling like I'm treated well by other people on my team, especially my manager. So then beyond that, what's kind of the next thing? So we have to manage performance accountability. The way to actually get the results on your team that your needs to achieve is to manage performance accountability. Make sure that they understand what the expectations are, and then how do we manage it in between? How do we keep going and make sure that it's implemented like fully? That part can be really hard. I feel like this is like, out of my 5 pillars of successful leadership, this is the most difficult one for me, making sure that all the metrics are tracked and that you're holding people accountable and you're checking in on them. To me, it's not the fun side of leadership. Some people might be like, oh, I love this stuff. I love the metrics and the achievement side. That's awesome. Now, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but as a manager, you have to be doing it. So some things you have to measure are like the actual, like the numbers, the metrics. So the blank in that part is metrics. Some things you have to measure are the metrics, the numbers, the data, so that that's good, because you don't want to put garbage in, as they say with data management, garbage in, garbage out. If you're really tracking stuff, you need to be putting in the right information. So a great way to keep track of expectations, metrics, and progress is to have some sort of like one-on-one management tracking system also. So it's good at project management, but also having something to do with each person. So maybe it's still in your project management system, but you want to be able to track what your information is with each person. So maybe you're managing like a sales team. And so you have something with Jim, with Sandy, with Betty, and with Ricky. All these names. Everybody ends in a Y. Jimmy, Ricky, Sandy, Betty. And you want to be able to make sure that you know what their expectations are of you. You want to know like what metrics they are responsible for and how their progress is moving. We do that because it's so important to make sure that people have enough autonomy or freedom, independence, in case you're not familiar with that word, to be able to like do their job independently. So we want them to have the freedom to do it independently. That's the autonomy. So one of the main reasons leaders and teams fail at this is because they lack the skills or the confidence to be able to do it. The skills or the confidence is really a big component. And I think sometimes it then generates that imposter syndrome. So I know not everybody experiences that, but tell me in the chat, have you ever had an imposter syndrome where you feel like, oh, how did I get this job? How am I responsible for all this stuff? This is not what I signed up for. I had no idea this is what I was expected to do. I have fooled everyone. I'm not ready for this. That happens a lot in the working world all the time. Oh no. Yep. Oh, today, Annette, see, this is like, we're going to overcome this. I know that this is stuff that you can, we'll get you totally over that hump where you feel like, who am I? What am I doing here? And instead, I'm a confident, revolutionary leader. So Ashley, I'm sorry that you're experiencing that too. Let's make sure, I'm not sure, have you booked your Connect call with me yet? If you haven't, Becca or Mackenzie can drop that link in the chat so you can book that call, and I'll hear about your specific stuff. Kelsey says, oh man, we just talked about that this week, last minute event panic. Tawana and Haley helped so much. Oh, thank you. We're really happy to support you. Part of this also is that when you're managing people, a really, really good thing to remember is that you want to give the people on your team authority equal to their responsibility. I'll say that again. You want to give them authority equal to their responsibility. If they are responsible for certain metrics, certain jobs, like in part of your event planning or part of your sales team or part of your nonprofit program delivery, whatever it might be. If somebody is responsible for something, give them authority to be creative, innovative, or manage it the way that they feel like they can authentically manage it based on how they are. So it's never helpful for, if somebody told me, Haley, here's how you, like back in my former job where I was in corporate fundraising, this is how you have to do it. Well, that's probably why I did leave, because I didn't have a lot of freedom. I didn't have a lot of autonomy and authority. And so it's not inspiring if I'm like, okay, I can't do any sort of mobile giving with this company. Like when you, I mean, hello, it was the 2018, I think, when I left the company. So before that, like there's still ways to mobile give to nonprofits, right? Like how do you guys normally give? Maybe you scan a QR code, maybe you text a number, and then it gives you a website that you fill out the, your credit card information or whatever it might be. That's the way that you make it easy for people to give. And there were not ways for us to do that. There was always an excuse of why it was too clunky or whatever. And that was just an excuse. The easier, the more likely follow through. That is right. So if anybody's read Atomic Habits by James Clear, fantastic book. Definitely pick that up if you guys haven't already. It's probably a good book to listen to on audio book as well, if you prefer that. And in it, he talks about how you want to like make any habit that you want to have. So if it's like, working harder, working out, eating healthy, whatever it is, make it easy and make it pleasurable. You don't have to be freaking miserable, right? And that's how it is for us as managers. We need to make people's jobs easier. That's your freaking job as a manager, right? And if you want to be a truly revolutionary leader, you need to make their job easier. Like, so find out, hey, what obstacles are in your way? Okay, I'm getting them out of here. Like, I'm going to go advocate for you. I'm going to get you new software on your computer. I'm going to get you the training you need. I'm going to help lead a conversation between you and somebody who you're having a conflict with or whatever it might be. Make it easier, get the obstacles out of their way. Why would you want them to be performing with obstacles in their way, right? We don't want that. We don't want that at all. So before we jump into the practice prompt, I want, let's first have like Kelsey, tell us a little bit about why you joined the Revolutionary Leadership Lab and what people should consider if they're considering joining the program. Like, how do we know it's the right fit for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been with the Revolutionary Leadership Lab since August of last year and have really enjoyed working with you guys as I've grown. So I started out with a job that I was struggling with the leadership and dealing with some toxicity and things like that, and had no direct reports. And so it's really grown with me as I've become this, grown into this entrepreneur space as a nonprofit CEO, as well as becoming the CEO of my own company. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that's really special, is that it's not only for when you are in the trenches trying to figure out how to navigate up and manage up, but it's also for discovering yourself and leading yourself as an entrepreneur or as someone who is stepping into management for the first time or have been in management for a while. And also helping, for those that are entrepreneurs or those that are just navigating life in general, figuring out what your time is worth has definitely been a conversation topic that I've had with these folks. And it has been 110% worth it. And just, not to mention it's great company to have every week, twice a week. So definitely love it. Is there anything else that you can think of that I'm forgetting?
I think that's great. You've talked a lot about like your transformation in like, you were literally employed somewhere else and now you have started a nonprofit and a company. It's like nobody can stop her. She's on her way up, And so, I think that's awesome. I'm really, really, really proud of you. I think that it's been awesome to watch you grow. And like, I think that a lot of it is like, you're a very coachable person. So that's what I would look for with people in the program, is like, you have to be somebody who's willing to get feedback and to hear like other perspectives. Cause I know that you're such a workaholic, and like, sometimes we have to talk, like this week, we even talked about like boundaries you have to start setting, ways to like start delegating more things, because like Kelsey only has so many hours in the day, you know, and you don't have like Beyonce, to speak more of Beyonce and our, you know, H-Town queen, like you don't have the Beyonce team. So we have to have like, how can you make sure that every area in your life is successful? And that's what makes you a great leader, you know, like you have to lean on the help of other people, delegate, hire out, things like that. And it's been really cool to watch you grow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's been a journey, and it's been great to have you guys along with me on that journey.
Oh, I love that. So if people are thinking about joining, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that they should absolutely jump in. Even make sure that you take advantage of that free call to get to know Haley and really see what you are able to accomplish with your time in the Revolutionary Leadership Lab.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. So make sure you guys book that call again. Becca posted it in the chat, so you can book that. It's just like a 15 or 20-minute call. We can always make it longer if you want to, but that's where we get to start chatting about like, what are your needs? Is this a good fit for you? You know, I'm not going to have you join the program if you're not a good fit and it isn't one of your goals. And so, you know, I want to help the people who are a good fit for it. So Tawana, our other coach, the implementation coach, PMP, tell us a little bit about yourself and about what your calls are like and the transformations that people are getting from those on the implementation calls.
Hello, great people. Thank you, Haley. Thank you, Mackenzie, Becca, team, everybody for just joining today's call on the challenge. It's really a pleasure to be a part of this collective. Literally, like I look forward to Mondays. Mondays are the implementation call days. And whether it's one person, whether it's multiple people from RLL, it's always a good time. And I know you may be thinking like nothing is ever always. No, on this call, it is always a good time because it's about you. It's not what agenda do I come to the table and want to talk about. It's literally like, what do you have going on? Right? What's your challenge? What's your question? How can we navigate that? And you make your decisions. I make suggestions, but you're the CEO of whether it's your business or you're the management of your team or you are the decision maker for your life. You are the one who gets to make the ultimate decision about what you want to do next. Because when you believe it, when you decide on it, guess what happens? Tend to follow through. If I just give you a bunch of arbitrary next steps, they're going to sound good, but they're not going to be etched inside of you. So I really love that call because, you know, like we've shared here with Kelsey, celebrating her more, right? We have literally seen her grow mountains, I mean, leaps and bounds from when she started the program. And all of that already had to be within her. We just encourage her. We're just little elbow nudgers and helping her think outside of herself, helping her come out of the weeds to see, here's what you need to tap into that maybe you haven't already. But she shows up and does the things. She shows up and asks for the help. She shows up and invites other people in so that she is not stuck, burned out, stressed, overwhelmed, doing it all by herself. There's no reason anyone has to do anything all by themselves, right? It may rest with you, but you don't have to do it alone. And that's what this collective is about. So all that to say, I am Tawana Taylor. I'm a certified project manager by trade. I've got over 16 years of experience in small business, state government, and 10 of those years were dedicated to state government as an enterprise project consultant, where people, managing people ops, that was my jam, right? And so, you know, like some of you all expressed, having direct reports, not necessarily my job function. However, was I responsible for a lot of people? Yes, entire state of Georgia fell under our lap. Our enterprise was the largest state government entity. We had over 9,500 employees. You better believe projects that came out of our office weren't just for the Atlanta area. They were statewide. They were for all 159 counties. And so you had to know how to strategically move people to do the thing. There's no way one project manager or a handful of people from the state office could manage and deliver on all of the expectations that were set, let alone given the time frame that they were set in. It's about mobilizing people, and mobilizing people is about knowing what moves them. Knowing what moves them is about everything that Haley provides and leads us through. And that's knowing the personalities, knowing why you do and why you don't, so that you know how to approach them in a way that does or does not work, right? You'll understand why it doesn't work, because maybe you didn't give them the right tool, maybe you didn't give them the right visual, maybe you didn't give them the right view of data, right? You won't take a spreadsheet to a person that needs graphics, and you won't take graphics to a person that says, give me the raw extract. It makes a difference in your communication methods. And so those are some of the things that we talk about on the implementation calls every single week. And if there are times where you aren't available to join the call, because we know in an ideal world you would be, but sometimes you're not, we have the call replays, and you can always message me in Slack, and I will either send a video message or I will type in the answer to whatever question you've posted. So it's been so fun. And Haley, I just can't thank you enough for entrusting me to be a part of the community, because it truly is a pleasure.
Oh, I love having you as part of this team. It's amazing. I mean, like, Tawana brings so many additional skill sets that I do not possess. Like, she's so much more of a like detailed thinker, and she's great at like working systems and projects and things like that. It's just amazing. So like, we love having you as part of this. And then I'll also share, like, Tawana not only just does all that coaching, but she also helps with, like, if you don't have experience with project management or have any tools for it, she has something she created herself, and it's your Done model. Is that right? Isn't it Done?
That's right. Yep.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So the Done formula is project management in its simplest form. It is an acronym. I love acronym as an adult learner, right? It's an acronym for define, right? Or decide, own, nurture, and execute. Right? It's not the ideas that we execute, it's the decisions. And sometimes for most times for visionaries, get excited about the ideas, but it goes nowhere until you make a decision and then figure out, whether it be you or through others, getting the next step accomplished, right? Taking action. And so the Done formula is helping you move from idea to whatever reality means for you, whether it's through your company, whether it's through your own personal interests. You can even convert this into your day-to-day living with your family. Everything starts in the head, the heart, the head, and then it becomes a reality if it's meaningful. If it's not voiced and if it's not visible, it's probably not valuable. Okay, so if it means something for you, you're going to follow through. If you're not following through, then identifying what's hindering you or what you feel you need or don't, need to take that next step is going to be important, so that you can own it, nurture it through yourself and through others, and then execute it. Put that sucker to a plan, back it to a calendar, and make sure that it happens. And, of course, you're having communication along the way about it.
That is awesome. I mean, I think it's just amazing. It's such an easy like acronym to remember: decide, own, nurture, execute.
Yeah. Get it done.
Get it done. I love it. So she does the Done formula, and you even have that like project management Excel sheet kind of thing too also. Yeah. So she can always work through that with you. We will be doing an orientation / onboarding call on the morning of the 27th. So if you want to join this program, I'll send you the link for that calendar invitation, everybody. So if you're joining the program, you'll want to come to that. You'll meet everybody who's new, who's joining, and you will talk about like expectations that you have, that I have, that Tawana has, things like that. We'll talk about how to get the most out of the program. You'll get oriented to the membership site, Slack, everything else. And so before more people hop off, I want to make sure that we do have a winner, because somebody did put their answer in the Slack or in the Facebook homework thread. So Ash Stella, is that the same as Ashley S on here? I'm thinking it probably is. So yes, it is. Yay, you win the Target gift card. Send me your email address in the Facebook DMs and I'll make sure you get it. So her answer to like, how do you need to improve, or hold on. Yay, Ashley S. Go, Ashley. So it was, how do you need to improve psychological safety on your team? She says, we take the time to keep open communication channels and conduct team building activities. We also encourage and make an effort to own up to mistakes without being fearful of retaliation, focusing on finding fixes to issues rather than shifting blame. Oh my God, yes, we don't want to shift blame. As far as improvement, making sure no one gets lost in the workload and falls away from communicating with others, and just maintaining a teamwork atmosphere. As far as improvement, making sure no one gets lost in the workload. Yes, you have to be intentional. That's awesome. So yeah, thanks for popping your answer in. And guys, make sure you pop your answer in after today before noon tomorrow, because then you'll get the chance to win a Starbucks gift card. Yay, caffeine, or whatever treats you like there. So, I mean, as we talk about the Revolutionary Leadership Lab and you hear these different examples, like guys, make sure you're booking your Connect call, or if you want to have the management breakthrough call, that's an hour-long call. And so it takes a little bit more time, but you get a worksheet. We go through that. We'll see, like, is this a program that is really, really like aligned with what your needs are? Is this going to be the investment you need to make in your management and your leadership skills? Because it's going to help you. I mean, how can it not level up? It's going to help you either like level up like Kelsey did with her program or her nonprofit and her company, and figuring out, what do I need to do in my life to align with my values? But also, if you're if you're in a traditional workspace, how can you get a raise? How can you get a promotion? How can you get the recognition you need, the respect that you want and deserve, right? How can you be that type of leader? So that's why we talk about this stuff. That's how we figure out if you're a good fit for it. I want to work with people who are like, not just focused on the achievement and the money, but also the impact that their job, that their work brings. That's why we talk about this stuff. So I'm really passionate about that. And you may be thinking like, oh no, she's pitching something. Well, of course I have to. Like, yes, we do this free challenge. I want to give you as much of like an instant win and like a breakthrough that you can have. But I also, I mean, I would be doing a disservice to you guys if I wasn't inviting you to join the Revolutionary Leadership Lab. It is a strong program where it's still like a small program. So you get a lot of attention personally. It's not like we have 100 people in the program. I want you to make sure that you know that this is like still a small group. You still get individual coaching. So there's a group aspect and there's individual aspects that you get to work with me. You get as much help as you want via Slack from Tawana and myself. And this is like something that you signed up for. Like, you saw this training, and it's obviously something you need, right? Like, it's something that you notice. Like, and I talked to somebody this morning, they were like, oh my God, when I saw your ad on Facebook about this, it was immediately like, oh yes, I have that exact problem. I can't get people to do what I need them to do. And so I want to help you guys get the answers. And Angie said, thank you for today, Derek. And I have another meeting. Okay, she's going to get the recording. That's great. So this was awesome, guys. If you have any other questions, we'll stop the recording on Facebook and we'll stay in here, and I'll stay on here if you have any additional questions before we hop off. But I appreciate you guys so much. And if anybody wants to see the membership site that Mackenzie just revamped, it is amazing. I'll actually share my screen so you can see that before we hop off. I'm really, really proud of this. She's amazing. We have a couple of like edits. Like I want to change some pictures on here from myself to Tawana, because she does the implementation call. So Tawana's going to send us a headshot and we'll make that little edit. But you guys will get, okay, so here is the site. So everything will be where you can click completed. And so it'll like literally show you how many of the videos you've watched and different worksheets and things like that you've actually completed. So you'll be able to watch the live coaching calls. That's going to help a lot when you watch like what we've actually talked about. So leading with self-awareness, you'll be able to like hit up the mindset call, like how do you delegate? You watch all of those. And these implementation calls are all of the calls that Tawana has done. And so you can watch any of these. You have access when you join this program to everything. And so Kelsey hasn't even seen this yet because it's a brand new thing. So we're really excited. So Kelsey, all of the calls are now on this website. And then all these other trainings or things that I've done elsewhere, you have access to all of it. And then all of the resources and tools are also in here. So as PDFs, you'll just open each of these and you have access to those things. So the fast action bundle template will be this plus more and things like that. So you guys will definitely want to check this out. Let's pop the link to join in the chat in case people are wanting to take advantage of that discount today. Oops. Why is this happening? Okay, got it. So if people want to take advantage of this, you can join the program and get a discount today if you join by the end of the day. The link is right here. You have access to pay for the full year or to pay for it monthly. And so you get a discount either way. So you get a little bit of a discount, like it's a little bit less if you pay for the year up front, and it's $4,444. So I like that, just repetitive little number there. And if you want to pay monthly, it's $400 a month. And then there's a discount if you use this link by the end of the day. So you'll get $400 off. Yay. So check that out. And yes, if you, so I do encourage people, like, if you want to ask your company to like reimburse you or to pay for a part of this, that's awesome. But if they won't, or if they're not interested, don't let that stop you. Like, I know that like this is a, you know, tax deductible thing. It's like, because, you know, this is investing in your career. It is something that you should be able to write off on your taxes. That's what I do with the coaching program I am in. And it's a really, really important thing to invest in your future. So if you want to see that difference made in your life, like, here's your chance. Let's do this. I'm so excited. I can't wait to work with you guys. I've met with Annette. I'd love to meet with Ashley and Elizabeth. If you haven't booked your calls yet, let's definitely have a connect call or a management breakthrough call. So stay on. We'll make sure that link is popped in the chat as well. And then on the, so that's a link to book it. And then if you want to learn a little bit more about the program, can you put this, the page, Mackenzie, that's like everything about it. So yes, she knows what I'm talking about. So if you want to see like what the format is and be able to read testimonials and things like that, she'll put the link in the chat also for you. And on that, there is a template you can use to ask your company to reimburse you. So it's just like a little letter. You can always, you know, use it as a guidance, change some words around or whatever. And it's a great way that you can invite them to invest in you as a manager or a leader. And maybe they want to pay for a portion of it, or they want to see, well, start the program and we'll see how it works. People have done that also. And then their company's like, hey, yeah, we're going to pay for this because we've already seen a difference in you. That has been a really, really cool thing to celebrate as well. So let us know if you have any questions. Mackenzie just popped the link in there, and that's like all of the information about the Revolutionary Leadership Lab. And then if you want to get the discount, you use the link above by the end of the day. So I